What if I told you that natural medicine was deliberately suppressed to make way for pharmaceuticals? Welcome. If you're new to my channel, my name is Dr. Erica Steele. I'm a board certified naturopathic doctor. I hold 7 degrees in my field, all in the natural healthcare space. I like to say that I went to school so you don't have to. I've been in practice for well over 20 years in natural healthcare professionally, and then personally, I've practiced holistic medicine since I was a little child with my mother, learning all kinds of Afro-Indigenous practices. So to see the evolution and the continued suppression of what is needed for people to heal is just beyond heartbreaking. So definitely connect with me in various different ways, whether it's my communities or webinars or education or any of the courses that I've listed below. You can just go ahead and click and find all the info. All right, so unfortunately, natural medicine has been suppressed. I've talked about this a lot in different webinars. In my Intro to Holistic Medicine course, we go over it. There's a lot of videos attached to that. And then also too, even in our current modern era, we still have that same approach with RFK and his gang of health influencers, Dr. Mark Hyman. And the reason that I call these people out is because they're really whitewashing our profession. You know, holistic medicine has deep ancestry and deep roots, and not necessarily European roots. So look at Ayurveda, for instance. Ayurveda coming from India, right? And look at the yoga industry. You know, once it's hit the West, goodness gracious, what has happened? Or even TCM, traditional Chinese medicine. You know, while I can appreciate cross-cultural, communication, making sure that, the Chinese have, sanctity over their medicine, but also it's respected and highly regarded, even if it's crossed over and used in Western approaches. And then our indigenous healing. Sadly, our indigenous healing is often still mocked, suppressed, laughed at. We're called, all kinds of things out of our name. We're not this, we're not that, et cetera, et cetera. While at the same time, they're taking various plant medicines and putting them under the microscope to study them for people's benefit. And while on the surface that may seem rather harmless and it can help, a lot of these indigenous medicines were not made to be exploited in this manner. And so it's really, you have to be attuned, you have to be connected to the medicine. The medicine has to call you. And then for you to be able to hold sacred space for other people does require you to have done your work. So it is rather dangerous for people that don't have connection and don't have lineage to these particular practices practicing them, but because they didn't learn it authentically and they didn't learn it, intuitively, if you will, or just passed down from their family lines. Homeopathy is actually very controversial because while it hails out of Germany, there's a lot of speculation around where the roots came. We know that Samuel Hahnemann is responsible, but in terms of his provings and his experiments, those in of itself are very controversial. And so we definitely want more answers in holistic medicine, but we also want to withhold and be able to have our practices to ourselves. So much of holistic medicine has been colonized now, and everybody across every single demographic thinks they are entitled to holistic medicine. And unfortunately, there is a reverence that we have to have. There's an order that we have to have. It is a calling, right? Which very much runs against everything that the conventional medical model stands for because of, Carnegie and Rockefeller's Flexner report, really pretty much telling us that none of our practices work, none of our practices are effective. We've naturally heard that even back from the Catholic Church, even with the monks would tell them, don't grow these herbs, but then steadily grow them, at the same time. But as long as they were done by the church, it was considered healthy. So we can see examples of that where, our practices are taken and then exploited and used. And right now is no different. We're about to see all these health influencers blow out of nowhere, and, unfortunately, they've recognized that Big Pharma can't necessarily profit off of natural healing, But if they infuse it into the system, then people are more apt for it because, people are not going to vaccinations as much. They're not going to synthetics as much. They're not utilizing, the patentable substances that generate revenue in that business. And so they need more and more and more revenue streams. So now we're going to see this switch over into quote unquote holistic, but really it's just dressed up, pharma to be repackaged and sold back to you. It's highly reactive, it's disease management, it lacks nuance. And also those providers, many of them, again, don't have the lineage or don't have the connection to the work. So you're getting it third and fourth and fifth hand. And that's even if they took it seriously in their practices. So lots to look at and discover. I do have a webinar that I go deeper into the hidden dangers of conventional medicine, just so that you're aware and you're educated. You're not going in, with blinders on. So definitely connect with me there, as well as our communities, and like, share, and comment for more.